So peeps, Rockskull here. Today I wanted to talk about the Blood Moon event in DBD, as there's been quite a lot of negativity around it that makes me actually worry a bit about the long-term future of the game. I'll do a quick summary of the mode for those who don't know, and then share my thoughts. You can queue for the Blood Moon event on a separate tab from the main game, and once in, survivors will have to complete 5 generators like normal. However, 4 of the 7 total generators have been turned into blood generators. These can only be completed by filling them with blood from blood cans as survivor. Blood cans can be collected and filled up from these blood pumps that spawn at random spots on the map. Once filled, you'll be shown an aura of the nearest blood generator. If you run with a blood can, it will slowly leak, but walking makes it so the leaking stops. These can be dropped on the ground as well, but note that killers can stomp on them to break them. Killers cannot use gen-related perks at all for this mode, including aura reading ones like Discordance, and also they cannot use killer-related powers to generators like Pig's Traps. Blood generators can be kicked though like normal generators to passively lose progress. Before I get into my own thoughts, I think it's important to mention the opinions I gathered from the community on this mode. To sum it up, it honestly felt like every content creator in existence was just crapping on the mode. Mainly they mentioned how bad it can feel on the killer side, as generators can go really quick, and you are unable to use gen regression perks or gen related killer powers like Pig's Traps. They typically say not having access to gen regression just completely ruins the killer experience, and the gens go even quicker than normal ones, making it all imbalanced. Now of course I do not fully agree with this sentiment, or else I wouldn't be making this video. I do agree with the fact that it was silly to remove things from the killer side while adding a whole new objective to Survivor and call it an event, as this probably shouldn't have been an event in the first place. This feels like something to me that should have been tested on the PTB, or some other experimental type tab in the base game. I think the fact that it's an event really tainted a lot of the good that came from this mode, and it worries me that it won't ever be tried again with all the negativity. I should mention I'm saying all of this as a killer player, by the way, and playing what most people consider mid-tier killers like Deathslinger and Nemesis for the mode. When I play killer in the base game, I actually never run slowdown perks typically, so the switch wasn't that major at all for me personally. This mode's release made me realize that possibly people's over-dependence on gen regression perks over the years may have made this a really negative experience for them. I did a bit of testing to see how imbalanced things actually were by playing Deathslinger with just aura perks and bound add-ons for both the Blood Moon and base game for 3 matches, as I wanted to see how fast gens fly on a killer who has literally no map pressure in his power. I admit it wasn't a huge sample size, but it seemed like gens activated at about the same rate for me in both modes, with both taking around 2 minutes on average to activate the first gen. In the Blood Moon event probably just being higher because of this one outlier game that was on Larry's where I don't think the survivors knew what they were doing. I think the nature of having to locate a blood pump and slowly bring the gas can to a generator while possibly running into the killer I think really balances out this mode for me, even if those gens do seem like they fly. They only really get activated quickly if you don't put out pressure properly as killer, so I don't mean to sound like a complete meanie head when I say this, but the negative perception might be a bit of a skill issue. The only thing I will admit that isn't a skill issue is the random spawning nature of the blood pumps and blood generators, as you could get them right next to each other, or falling across the map, which really changes the outcome of the game. I think it balances out though, as things like indoor maps proved by my Larry's game can make it really tough to find blood pumps on Survivor. Looking at it all now, I do understand why they made killers not be able to use gen related perks, as some perks could feel really bad for the Survivor side with a completely new gen mechanic. Again though, I believe they really should have put this on the PTB first and gave these new mechanics more thought. This generator part system has been discussed a ton by many others and even myself over the years, and it has potential to change the game for the better forever. It feels a bit like they just threw this generator part system at the event team and expected them to balance it properly. As someone who really enjoyed this mode on the killer and survivor side, but I still see the faults, all I ask is that they don't give up on this all just yet. Now comes the question of how I think they should change things if they want this to work. In my opinion, I think the biggest fault of this mode was when you fill up a gas can, it can just work with any generator. This creates a heavy RNG aspect feeling bad on both sides, as it's both annoying if you get a gen across the map highlighted as survivor, or just one literally right beside the pump making it annoying for killer. I think once you fill up a gas can, you have to go to a specific generator that's as far as possible from you, similar to how the Freddy wake up mechanic used to work. I'd make it so you can run as survivor now though without having to worry about walking, so that whole walking process doesn't feel so rough. It would also make perks like Fixated feel like less of a requirement for the mode. I'd also make it so if a killer downs a survivor while they are holding a gas can, it gets knocked out of the survivor's hand so the killer can kick it. You can either make it so it slowly drains once kicked, or just poofs like it does now. I'm not sure which is better balance wise, so I just listed both there for reference. In my opinion, all this would make it so you're more likely to run into survivors in general. They have to carry gas cans across the map while also having the ability to run, so you are more likely to see them as killer. I also like the fact that they get the gas can knocked out of their hands once they are down, so the whole kicking mechanic actually sees use. I also should add here that I think killers should be able to use their gen-related powers in this mode, and any gen-related perks. The perks will probably have to be specifically balanced for the mode, but I believe you shouldn't restrict players this hard for it. The creativity of perk builds in this game is a big part of the fun for me, even if I don't really like gen regression perks personally. That is all just my thoughts on the mode though. You can let me know what you think of this mode and my balance ideas in the comments. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Rockskull, Rockskull. All I wants to do is stream all night. Lobby full, rock skull. Never gonna play with me, but it's alright.